All right, on today's podcast, I welcome on a special guest. He's also one of my coworkers. He is Daniel Cohen. He's our content creator on the TikTok end of social media. Daniel does a great job. Give our TikTok a follow at My Anime Village. Daniel, how are you?
What up, brother? I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, man. How's everything going?
Going good. Just grinding the TikTok side, being an anime TikToker and that it's a tough job.
Yeah, tough job. Gotta love the passion, right, of everything for it.
Yeah.
So a little bit different format compared to the last podcast. Daniel and I are gonna touch upon some topics of what's going on in the anime world and along with the anime village world. Something we're gonna try. Him and I are gonna try to do at least once a month or twice a month, depending on our schedules and everything, and bring you guys up to date with our views of the anime world, but also what's going on in the anime village end of it. But let's get into our first thing of the Anime Village updates. We have new NFT, the new NFT drops have dropped, and the new collections are dropped. We have the Tetsu collection, which is focused on Shinichi, and then we also have the Gato collection, which is focused on Suki the Owl with 10 unique backgrounds. I mean, Daniel, what do you think about this? A big step for Anime Village on this one.
I mean, yeah, it's the first non-fungible token that the company's releasing. They all look great. I mean, my personal favorite, no offense to the owl, but the Shinichi ones look great. All like the different outfits he's in, all the different backgrounds, especially when you know like the lore of the manga and you read the manga. It's like it's sick. It's super, super cool and like a step in the right direction for us.
Yeah, it's huge. And then Sonichi, the NFT has a 10 different collections. So it's gonna be cool to
Mhm.
like you can scroll through those on our website. I'll put the link in down below in our on our YouTube as long along on our social. You guys can check those out. It's really cool. And I think like you said, right step direction for Anime Village and what we got going on. And if you guys have the opportunity, definitely check out Adamanto's free, what we have free, the free chapters that we have up,
Mhm.
free pages that we have up on the page as well too.
Yep.
Yeah, so it should be good. And I mean, Anime Village is headed in the right direction, and we have some more updates coming up along the way. But I think we're gonna hop into more of the anime verse. We have first I want to start with Chainsaw Man, Shona's journey ranks on the New York Times bestseller. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, not first of all, not surprising. I mean, Chainsaw Man's been like the biggest thing this season. As someone who's like read all of it, it's not surprising that it's sold that well. And also like just like Mappa, and which we'll get into later, but Mappa, the studio, has put their heart and soul into that project. Just which is like more promotion for the manga. They created like a whole division, a new division of their office just for Chainsaw Man. So yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like I think of this year, I think the only other manga to do it, I think JJK did it. Actually JJK was the highest selling manga this year, and then AOT earlier at the beginning of this year. But yeah, it's just like for all like the new gen mangas of like the new gen shonens, I think Chainsaw Man's the best. So it's not surprising that it became a New York Times bestseller.
What's crazy too? I don't think like I honestly never would have thought in my lifetime like I'm a little bit older than you, and maybe by a little, maybe a lot. I don't know. But it like when
I'm
I
only
first
21,
started
bro. Don't worry.
what's that?
I'm only 21. Don't worry.
I'm 35. So,
Oh, again,
so I
it's
started watching
difference in
anime
age.
like in the 90s,
Hmm.
and um and the mangas and stuff like I never would have thought that manga would have been on the New York Times bestseller like ever, or like it gained this much popularity. Like what can you like attest that to? What where do you think this all came
Well, well, so recently, like I'd say, because yeah, same with me. I didn't start watching in the 90s. Obviously, I wasn't alive,
from? Yeah.
but I started watching like I want to say like 2011, 2012, and even back then it was still like it was still taboo because you kind of had your golden age of like the 90s were like peak, but the golden age of anime I would say is like early 2000s, like 2000, from like 2003 to like 2007. that's
Right.
when that's when that's when you like conceptualize like the big three. Like when people talk about the big three, it's Bleach, One Piece, Naruto, because they were the three biggest animes when anime was at its peak. So you had a peak there, and then I would say within Western culture, it kind of comes with like ebbs and flows. So around like when I started watching around like 2010, 2011, it was sort of out of the Western spotlight. And then recently, I don't, who knows why, but since like I want to say 2018, 2019, it's had just the biggest boom in the West. Like it's just the most popular thing.
Yeah, it's super
Like anime as
interesting.
a whole.
Oh, go
No,
ahead.
no, go. You're good.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I never would have thought, like as a kid, like when I grew up, like people, kind of like laughed at you if you watched like anime or didn't like really like, kind of thought you were like, but now it's such a like a weird turn that like it's popular, like everyone
Mhm,
watches it. It's not like something that like as like a kid that like I felt like at my age, you're like didn't want to tell your friends that you watched like this because you
mhm.
didn't want to get like made fun of or anything like that. And now it's like I'm 35. I'm open, like talking about it now. Like it's crazy to like to see the change of the tides have changed.
Yeah, well, the adoption in the West can also be like attested to like just its greater integration into like the overall media mix. Like you look at like I was gonna make a video on this, but I haven't got the chance to. Like my hero is in Fortnite now. Like it's everywhere.
Yeah,
like like and now that like especially with apps like TikTok, which is follow me on TikTok, my anime village. With apps like the TikTok, like you see just like cosplayers everywhere, and it's less now. Like I would say, like let's say like let's give like a hypothetical. TikTok was a thing like 5 years ago. It would be very taboo to be like posting your cosplays online. Those are sort of reserved for like very niche like tight knit communities and on like separate forum boards and stuff like that. But now just like the general public is an anime fan, which honestly for me and like all anime fans is better because um uh to have like a greater adoption in the space of like fans, it's great for everyone. And honestly, like there's so many good stories and amazing things within the anime world, like you would want everyone to experience them. But yeah, I think I don't know exactly what you could attest to, but there's been just like a massive boom since like the 2018, 2019.
it's crazy and it's awesome to see, and I hope it continues to head in that direction. I didn't ask you this, Daniel. Probably should have started off with this question. I mean, what got you into anime? What was the first show that you watched? What made you like
Oh,
get into it?
um, oh, this is a tough question to answer because there's like multiple answers. I'll give like the abridged version of both.
Yeah,
So definitely as a kid, like a young kid, I would be on like Cartoon Network or wherever it was airing. I can't remember. And I would see Dragon Ball, and that was my first like acknowledgement of like this is an anime, but I didn't know that was an anime. And then I want to say I was in 2014. That would make me, yeah, I was 13. So I was like grade 7. Um, I was so random. I was on Instagram and I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw an edit video of the first season of Attack on Titan. And I was like, what am I looking at? So I
right.
went home. First of all, I'm 13. No 13-year-old should be watching the first episode of Attack on Titan. And I watched all of Attack on Titan and I was like, I'm a different person now. Like that's I wasn't supposed to see that. So I watched all of AOT, and then after that, I was like addicted. And then like the biggest show that got me into it, and everyone's gonna clown me, I know, was SAO. Objectively looking back, a bad show, but I don't care what anyone tells me. I love that show. And if anyone tries to argue with me that SAO was bad, rewatch the first 12 episodes as a 13-year-old, and you can't tell me that's not the dopest thing you've ever seen in your life. But but like to move past that, yeah, mostly those two, and then yeah, since then I've been totally hooked.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I should have asked you that in the beginning because when you brought it up, we started watching and obviously it's led you to where you are now today, and what you have a ton of knowledge and background, so it's great to have this conversation with you today. But that's really cool. Yeah, I think for me, the one that like it was I saw Dragon Ball Z. I think like back. God damn, I'm like real. Excuse my language. I'm like really dating myself here, but like back in the early '90s, like when I was a kid, I would wake up and it would be on TV first thing in the morning. And I'd watch it. I didn't really know, but I thought it was cool because there was a lot of cool fight scenes. And then as I get older, like Gundam Wing kind of really got me into it. Then Cowboy Bebop, that whole Adult Swim Toonami like phase that they had back in
Mhm.
the the early 2000s, like you mentioned that like 2003 that really popped was like the year that I kind of like got into heavy into it, like watching Cowboy Bebop, Inuyasha, Gundam, the Big O, like just kind of taking like time out, making sure I was home at like 5 o'clock after like a sports practice or something like that. And I had to like watch my shows to make sure I caught them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, couldn't record them back in the day, so at the time. But anyways, let's get back into it. So we have Mappa Studio, obviously, Mappa Studio, sorry, and they're producing a ton of shows. I
Dude, I
mean, we
wanted
have
to talk about this for so long. This is the one main thing I want to talk about because this actually, as an anime fan, this is I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if they hire a million animators. It's ridiculous the amount of projects they have.
what?
It's like it's not even like it's like they're doing well, they're finishing Chainsaw Man, they're
Yep.
doing AOT, they're doing Jujutsu Kaisen, they're doing One Punch Man, they're doing Hell's Paradise, they're doing, I think the number is like they're doing like 7 or 8 shows, which is in the calendar year of 2023, which is ridiculous.
Wait,
And
how?
basically,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say basically what it all boils down to is like the best example is Attack on Titan. So Attack on Titan seasons 1 through 3 was done by Wit Studios, and they did an amazing job. I love Wit, and Mappa ruins everything good that Wit does. Like perfect example, Wit did season 1 of Vinland Saga, and now Mappa's doing season 2. Um, so like in when Wit was animating, what Wit does is they take like there's another studio that's a better example of this I'll talk about later, but Wit will take like 1, 2, maybe 3 projects a year, and they'll pour their heart and souls into that. And you can see that in the first three seasons of Attack on Titan. Like you have super I like one of the high points in Attack on Titan season 2 is the super stylized stills. Like there's one still, I think it's in one of the first episodes of the Beast type, and it's this like super detailed still, which Mappa will never do. And same thing like in season 3, like that sequence of Levi flying through the city when he's fighting Kenny. Super random deep cuts that no one actually cares about, but it's all leading to the point that when it got to season 4, what happened with the animation of season 4 is it was all like the majority of it, well, like all the fight scenes became computer generated, and you can see that by like I don't think they look that terrible, but just comparably, like the doofy looking Titans, and then if I once I pointed out, you can't stop noticing it when you look at the faces of all of the characters in the close-ups of season 4. They have computer generated etching on their faces, so it's like an AI or a CGI, I don't know exactly what it was, and it'll scan the character's face that they've drawn, and it'll computer generated shade it, so some of the shading looks really wonky and screwed up in season 4.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, but basically what happens is like the creator, it's honestly, it's not Mappa's fault. They're just the biggest studio. The creator of the people who own the IP, or the creator of Attack on Titan, I'm not sure the exact people it is, but like, we want this show done in this 8-month frame. And Wit, a studio who cares about the product they make, goes, oh, okay, it's impossible to get it out in that 8-month frame. We can't do it. And then Mappa goes, oh yeah, no, we got it, bro. So yeah, that's the reason why. But it's ridiculous the amount of shows they're doing.
Have you seen the skit with the Marvel Studio? I think it's like RDC World where they do it, where like
Yeah,
they're where they're like holding everyone
they're
hostage.
just
Like, what do you
all the
mean?
animators are just so down bad. They're just in the trenches.
It's it's crazy. I mean, what's like why the trend of like I mean, they're growing so big. Do you think like any of the shows are gonna suffer with everything that they're doing?
Listen, if there's any studio that could pull it off, it's Mappa. I mean, like Chainsaw Man looks unreal. Like that's
Yeah.
just beautiful. And so far, like as much as like my nitpicky gripes with season 4 have been with Attack on Titan, I've loved season 4. So as much as like those nitpicks are like just me being like a perfectionist or whatever it is, it is good. So I think all of the shows will be good. And I mean, like the key visuals for JJK season 2 came out, and they all look great. Like the character designs look great. But I just know one of them's gotta get the short end of the stick.
Would think so when you put in so much production,
Yeah.
when you're producing so many shows at once, that something's gonna not get like not
Yeah,
the due
exactly.
justice it should get. And it's very interesting like how they're taking on so much and like such big names and like people are like series that we're all looking forward to. And I
Mhm.
think one of the things that you brought up that I also want to kind of touch upon too is like the technology. We noticed it with Dragon Ball Super, and I think it's going to be going forward is like the new like 3D kind of like, I think Berserker kind of did it too on Netflix, and it was like this
Oh, that
like
show's disgusting. Berserk
yeah,
2016, that show's disgusting. That's
is
one of the
it?
worst looking shows of
Yeah,
all
yeah.
time.
I
Dude,
couldn't watch it.
that show is a travesty to the story of Berserk.
But like, do you see this trend like happening more? Like, I know I don't know if you started the new Dragon Ball Super, but like,
Mhm.
do you think like things like more shows are gonna go in that direction of like, are we not gonna see the same like stuff that we're used to seeing, I guess?
Well, yeah. I think it's just inevitable, and it's mostly our fault as the consumer because the consumer on one hand will be like, "Oh, I hate CGI. I like hand drawn," but that also takes more time. And then on the other hand, the consumer will be like, "Damn, it pisses me off that it takes 2 years to make a new season." So it's like this, it's like this, like tilting scale of like what the consumer wants. And at the end of the day, it's the same in the gaming industry where all gamers will be like, damn, I hate this company. I'm never buying this game. And then it'll be the highest selling game of the season where they'll say like, oh, CGI sucks, but CGI or not, as long as it's not egregious, they'll still watch it. So I think it's just going to head in the direction of and also CGI will improve. Like it's not going to stay like for example, the CGI in Chainsaw Man. A lot of people don't like it. I think it's great,
Yeah, it
and I
looks
mean,
good.
like I think it looks really good. So I think there's good ways to do it, and also like again, me nitpicking the CGI and Attack on Titan, like the fight scenes they're still sick, but I just prefer the hand drawn fight scenes. But um, yeah, just to move on to that, it's just this weird scale of like the anime fan the anime fan's always complaining. No anime fan is ever happy.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned being an anime
Yeah, understandable. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, I think for me, like, it's a tough adjustment in certain areas of like watching shows like, Legend Dragon Ball, seeing the animation from like the, when it has and what it has been, and then until now, it's kind of like now I think they might go produce the whole Dragon Ball Super and that whole CGI from like the superhero movie and stuff like that. So should be
Well, that
interesting.
was interesting. That was interesting because I saw the superhero movie and I didn't hate it because it wasn't CGI in the way that like a lot of shows have done it, like Berserk. It like was CGI, but they still looked as if they were in the Dragon Ball verse. And honestly, it was done pretty well. So I mean, for on the topic of Dragon Ball, I think Dragon Ball's fine. I think Dragon Ball actually looked pretty good.
I'll be interested. I guess when I first saw the previews, it reminded me of like a video game, and I wasn't sure
Mhm.
what exactly like
Yeah.
what it was going to be like. I can't really attest to like the movie itself. I haven't really got a chance to sit down and watch it, to be honest. But like,
Oh, it's great. It's great.
is it really? Okay,
It
yeah, I'll have
really,
to check it
it's
out.
good.
Yeah, like I saw the trailer, and I was kind of like, I'm not too sure about this, but I mean, like, I'll take your word on it. You're more of an expert than I am in the anime world, so I'll follow your word on that. So I'll definitely have to check it out for sure. The next topic I have, and this one's close, hits pretty near and dear to me, I guess, is the Gundam Witch. The Gundam Witch from Mercury is ranked one of the highest of the Gundam series. Actually, I saw it's also one of the highest top ranked animes watched. What do you think about that for Gundam? Are you a Gundam guy? Have you watched anything?
Well, you're actually talking to a non-mecha fan. So I've only seen because I had to watch it for um a class. I've only seen like the original Gundam, like
Really?
1970, like the first one. And
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
I know Gundam's like is so good, but as of for like the mecha franchise, I've seen a few mecha animes, but I've never seen a Gundam. So this is your wheelhouse. You can talk about this.
Yeah, this is very interesting to me because I feel like Gundam's kind of been on the downtrend since the Gundam Wing era, and then I
Mhm.
know they try to like repeat it with Gundam Seed, kind of bring in those like five characters, bring in five or six. I mean, Gundam Seed had like eight Gundams in it, all like, which, sometimes is a little bit too much. But for this to be, I think the director of this he said he was trying to target more of like the younger age group and kind of get kids more back on board with the Gundam series to make it more interesting. It's really kind of had a downfall. I feel like there hasn't been like a really good Gundam show. I feel like for the attract people around the younger age to really want to watch it or get into it. And I think this is what they were trying to do. And from what I've heard and what I've seen and what I watched, it's phenomenal. It's a great show, and I hope it continue. I hope Gundam keeps heading in this new direction of growing.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
I've heard about this Gundam, and I've heard someone's gonna correct me, but I'm pretty sure that this is it's disconnected from the main Gundam storyline. So to bunny hop off of the point of you're saying like it's for a new audience, I think it's supposed to be like a new starting point for a Gundam fan because like you said, if you wanted to get into Gundam today, it's like getting into World of Warcraft today. There's a million things that you'd have to catch up on. So
Yeah.
this is like a sort of entry show for someone like who wants to experience why Gundam is good, but doesn't need all the lore of the background. I'm pretty sure. And also I did hear about this that Yao Sobi does the theme song, and she's a great artist from Japan. Weird deep cut, but yeah. So I'll probably check it out.
I love it. Well, yeah. Well, this is why I have you on, because you know the stuff more, like you know who the singers and you're more into it, so a
Yeah.
higher detail. But yeah, I think it's exciting, man, because I love Gundam. And like past Gundam shows, they kind of try to reboost, like you said, it's off a different storyline, it's different universe, but like they try to like boost off the original Gundam, where like they start bringing in some things that people might not know about, like a new type, and reference some stuff from the show back in '79. So you have to be like a really big Gundam fan to kind of like follow along what's going on. And even some of the stuff I'm like, oh my God, I don't even remember that. I had to go back and rewatch like 50 episodes of Zeta Gundam to understand what they
Yeah.
were just talking about. So
Or they're tell me about it. If you're doing like a long form show and then you're like, hey, let me take a 2 week break, and then you play the next episode, you're like,
yeah,
what am I even watching?
yeah,
That used to
exactly.
happen to me all the time back in the day. Because actually, sorry, I'm gonna backtrack to what got me into anime. When I was like 11, I used to watch Fairy Tale every day. I can't believe I forgot that. Every day during breakfast before school, whatever I would watch Fairy Tale. Can't believe I forgot that. But yeah, so to bunny hop off this point, when COVID happened, I was like, you know what? Let's relive my childhood. I watched Fairy Tale, and I just tried to pick up from where I left off from when I was literally 12. And I was like, who, I don't even, this isn't even the same show. Like, who are the characters? Who is talking right now? What is happening? So yeah. But yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. Fairy Tale was definitely what got me into anime. Wow.
Yeah, it's funny how like if you don't like pick up on it or have to like get the restarts from like square one to like remember. I had to do that with Gundam Wing recently. I was trying
Yeah.
to think of something. I was like, I don't remember what episode this is, and I just ended up rewatching the whole series.
Yeah.
Um,
But I've heard really good things about this Gundam actually.
yeah,
I've heard the animation's really good. I've heard it's done really well.
I'm excited about it. I'm happy to see, just from being an old fan of it, I'm happy to see that there's a series that could revive the whole like the franchise and everything. And I know there's like giant Gundams in Japan and stuff like that, but it's cool. I
Yeah.
want like the younger generation to experience what I experienced and how I got into it. But
Well, someone's gonna tear you up for using the word revive. I think definitely revive to the general public, but
yeah,
dude, mecha fans,
I know that's
like
true. Yeah,
like if you're a mecha fan, that's all you watch.
yeah.
You're a mecha fan.
Well, I just feel like there hasn't been a solid Gundam series that
Oh no, yeah, you're definitely
yeah.
right. There hasn't been a Gundam series where I've been like, I need to watch this. Um, well, that's also can be attested to like me not being into mechas, but like I've seen a few mechas. Like my number one ranked show all time is a mecha. Um, but like there hasn't been like a Gundam since at least the one in the 90s where you always hear about, or like the early 2000s where like yeah, that was dope. Those shows were dope. That's been like had like a real pull to like get someone like me who doesn't really watch mechas to go watch.
Yeah, exactly. Before I get into the highest ranked anime shows, I want to ask you your thoughts on this. Pokemon, Ash Ketchum, end of an era, 25 years. What do you think? That he's not going to appear anymore? Him
Oh,
and Pikachu.
I think people are gonna hate it because people don't like change. Honestly, I think it's like 20 years overdue. If you're asking me. Um, they were just milking him for everything. Like they were just wringing that character out for 25 years, which I mean, whatever. Like people don't realize that Pokemon is longer than One Piece. It has literally more episodes than One Piece. It is so they made literally like over 1,000 episodes of Ash Ketchum doing nothing until the end. Yeah. So, but I think a new protagonist is definitely I think people hate in the beginning, but I think in the long run it's a good thing for the franchise.
I just want to make a note that Ash used to drive me nuts as like a Pokemon trainer. He'd have like these Pokemon, never catch them, like do all this stuff, and I'd be like, oh my God. And then he'd always lose, and you're like, what? Like, when's this guy gonna win?
I remember when I was watching Pokemon, because my first Pokemon game was Diamond and Pearl, which was like 2010. So my peak was Diamond and Pearl to Black and White.
Yeah.
A lot of, again, super weird deep cut, but I promise it makes sense. And then whatever, he gets to like in the Diamond and Pearl anime, he gets to like essentially as close as he can to being the champion, and he loses, which is fine. I don't care if the protagonist loses. But then the next series starts, and it's Black and White. It's in the new region, and he goes to the new region. And in the first episode, with the Pikachu, they acknowledge in the show, this is the Pikachu that just fought all these legendaries in like whatever the league was called, the Indigo League Champions. I don't remember what it's called. And then in the first episode, he loses to like a level 3 Snivy in the first episode, and Ash is just like, shucks, gotta train harder. And I was like, what is the power system? How does the show work?
You think that Pikachu would be like a level 100 and like,
dude, you think he'd be the best? He'd already at that point beat 4 regions. This is the 5th, and he's losing to the first Pokemon he encounters.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. It used to drive me nuts. Well, I guess it's kind of a good thing that they're moving on. I mean, there's only so many times you can make the main character lose and like keep messing up. And
dude, on the same metric, I guess it like makes sense for like the new region in the show, but it used to always piss me off so bad when he would like Ash would like you would form all these relationships with all these characters throughout a season, like all the Pokemon he caught, he'd catch a full team, and then at the end of the show, he'd be like, okay, Professor Oak, I'm giving you all of them that I caught. I don't want any of them. I'm only taking Pikachu, and I'm going to go to a new region. And it's actually crazy because they go through like 30 episodes of a new season where he's like catching the level 5 bird, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, this would be sick and have more weight to it if I didn't know that he had the God of Time back at Oak's Ranch just waiting for him.
I'm just gonna go on a limb and say it, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for it. Maybe Ash Ketchum isn't the best Pokemon trainer.
He's definitely not the best trainer. Also, it did take him 25 years to win the Pokemon League one time.
And then retired. That's it. He's out.
He probably isn't the best there ever was, according to the theme song.
Oh God. All right. And then we'll move on to our next topic is highest ranked anime shows. You have Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, The Orbital Children, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Chainsaw Man, Mob Psych 100, the 3rd season. Any thoughts on these? And like,
well, what's the metric here? What's the ranking?
This has been I think overall like the voting of the highest ranked shows on an anime of just like a quick overview of everything, according to I believe the website was CBR.
Gotcha. Just a quick side note, we can talk about this next week, but the Anime Awards, which is a good metric for this, are voting opens January 19th. So we'll talk about that then.
Cool.
We get to talk about the nominations, which is always fun because they're always wrong. But just to like go down the list of the shows that this website ranked. Demon Slayer. I'm actually a big fan of Demon Slayer, even though the story is weak, and I do believe it gets carried by the animation, and I don't care that Demon Slayer fans will yell at me for that. It does get carried by the animation. And back on the point of Mappa, this is the example I wanted to talk about that I just sidetracked and forgot to talk about. Ufotable is like the quintessential animation studio for like what I think is a good animation studio. Ufotable will take one project per year and they'll just make it the dopest project ever. Like whatever that year, I think they took one, maybe two projects, whatever the year they did Demon Slayer was last year and whenever they did the first season, they take like two projects and they pour their heart and soul into it. They do nothing else but that project. And I mean, you can see it in Demon Slayer's animation. Like it's episode 19 of season 1 is, I still think, the best animated piece of like fiction I've ever seen. A lot of people say episode 10 of season 2. Those people are wrong. Those people are wrong. But I had this argument with my roommate a couple weeks ago. Very heated argument. But yeah, I like just compared to like a studio like Mappa, like it shows in the animation, but I mean they obviously don't see the same profits as Mappa, so that's why Mappa doesn't. But yeah, Demon Slayer, I think the story is definitely it's just like a classic shonen. I think there's definitely a lot to be desired, but like the animation makes you forget all of that.
Right. Yeah. It's a beautifully done show. Like watching it and like even like seeing clips of it, it's fantastically done. And then obviously Attack on Titan, everyone loves. I heard Cyberpunk is fantastic.
Dude, wait till we get to Cyberpunk. I'm gonna geek out for like 20 minutes when we get to Cyberpunk.
All right.
But for AOT, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are not going to be happy with how the next season goes, but I think like the peak of all peaks just happened with final season part 2. I mean, that last episode was ridiculous, and even like the plot twist with his dad. No spoilers, but if you know, you know, the plot twist with Aaron's dad in this part of the show, final season part 2, most ridiculous, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, I think a lot of people aren't going to be happy with the ending, and I think that's why Hajime Isayama, the creator, was literally, when he came to Anime NYC, he put out a statement and he was like, I know a lot of you don't like the ending. Please don't yell at me when I get there. I'm really scared to come to the US, which is crazy. But yeah. Listen, I didn't mind the ending, but I know a lot of people hate it. But overall as a show, like, yeah, it's peak. I like there is no watching experience, even like now, like Chainsaw Man every Tuesday, like I would watch it with my roommate. It's like, yeah, that's fun. But the real ones know AOT Sundays from like season 3 till now, every Sunday was like an event.
Yes, it was that show, every plot and twist and turn and everything. Like I've never experienced like a show like that. I've never been caught off guard so many times watching the anime to watching AOT.
Oh yeah, there's so many moments in that show that are just like you would never see coming. And one of the big things that I think makes AOT really good is because of the way that it's written and like all those plot twists, its rewatchability is like top 10, because I rewatched it with one of my roommates, and like rewatching it, knowing what happens, there's so much foreshadowing and so many little hints within the earlier seasons that are like, you're like, how did I not know? How did I not predict this? But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a phenomenal show. I think like there's some, for non-anime fans, I think actually they would probably enjoy it if they could like I think just
there's a meme about this. It's like people will watch Attack on Titan, understand that it's one of the best pieces of fiction, and never watch any other anime in the world. And I know so many people who have done that. They're just like, yeah, this was sick. I'm not going to watch any more anime. But as a beginner anime, as a beginner anime, I don't know, because it's like a tough, like the way, like the actual way the story is set up and like the piece of fiction, it's really, really dark. I would say Demon Slayer is a much better beginner anime, but I know way more people's first anime has been Attack on Titan.
Yeah, same here. That's like the thing. I just feel like everyone, they like the plot line, the twist, that they get hooked to it. So it's
definitely more an adult story.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's I know like a couple people my age that's like one of the ones they watched and they were in love with it. I was like, that's like those memes where people are like trying to convince your friends to watch anime, and that was me. Trying to convince them to watch that. So, but have you Cyberpunk? All right, tell me about Cyberpunk, your thoughts.
Dude, this This is my favorite show this year. And there's a lot of good stuff this year. This is the best show I've seen this year. I don't care about Chainsaw Man. Okay, I care about Chainsaw Man, but I don't care about a lot of stuff I've seen this year. Actually, sorry, my brain's going a million miles a minute. I may retract that statement, but it's definitely one of the best shows I've seen this year. And I think a lot of that plays into the fact that it was so unexpected. I'm sure you know that it's based off the video game, Cyberpunk 2077, which as an understatement was not the best launch or released game. It was kind of broken.
Right. Yeah.
So when people heard that it was getting like an anime adaptation, people were like, "Why? The game doesn't even work yet. Why are you getting an anime adaptation?" And all of those people were proved wrong because Night City, the place that the show is set in, is such a great setting for just any piece of fiction, especially like the type of show that Edge Runners is. It's Studio Trigger, which I love. And Studio Trigger is also the perfect studio to animate this. They did like Kill la Kill. They did someone's gonna kill me. I think they did Gurren Lagann and maybe Darling in the Franxx. Probably not Darling in the Franxx, but I'm pretty sure Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, which are just known for these like over the top, like massive explosions. They're in space, there's rockets, whatever.
Yeah.
But like the way this show is animated, I put a video on the TikTok about this, but when someone gets punched in this show, like they get punched, like you feel it. And also, dude, the emotions in this show are like top tier peak. Like episode 6, no spoilers, but again, if you know, episode 6 is ridiculous. Like I still rewatch that 10-minute sequence at the end of episode 6 because it's so good, and same thing the way it ends, but like it's also just the perfect show where it does so much in a short amount of time. Like it leaves nothing to be desired. I think it's only 10 episodes, but it leaves it ties up all the ends. And I'm just rambling, but I love the show. It's such a good show.
And to answer your question, they did do Darling in the Franxx too.
Yeah.
They did produce it. I heard. I mean, my friends that haven't watched anime in a long time raved about it. They said how good they loved every minute of it, like the show. And personally, I had not had the time to sit down and watch it, which I'm probably going to do this over my vacation. I'm going to check it out for sure. But
dude, you could do it. You could do it in one day.
Yeah,
10 episodes. Dedicate like an afternoon, and you'll be a different person after. It's ridiculous. It's so good.
Definitely have to check it out. And then I know we kind of talked about Chainsaw Man quite a couple times on this show, but I mean it's also a high ranked show, which makes sense. Great show. But what do you think?
Well, yeah. One of the things I didn't talk about is I think just like artistically, Chainsaw Man. Not so much like the animation style, but the actual art of the show. This doesn't make sense, but I promise it'll make sense. Like the director is or the author, Fujimoto, is a massive film buff. And there's like a bunch of threads on Twitter. You can go through like the opening of the show.
Yeah.
Is a bunch of movie references. But more than that, like I think my favorite part of Chainsaw Man is obviously like the story and the show is unreal, but the endings, because each episode has a unique ending of Chainsaw Man, which is like the first time I would be it could be false to say that it's the first show to ever do that, but it's like a unique animation, unique song for every ending, and they're like really cool. Like the ending to episode 3, it's by this band called Maxim and the Hormone, and they do the song for ending episode 3. And I don't know if have you seen Death Note?
Yes, I have. Yep.
So you know the second opening of Death Note, the better one, the superior one. I don't
Yeah.
So they did that, which is just like killer metal song.
Yeah.
But the animation at the ending of episode 3 is ridiculous. It's so crazy. But yeah, obviously Chainsaw Man, it's like the most hyped show of the past, like probably decade. I'm not even over exaggerating. Like the hype that Chainsaw Man had before it was airing and while it's airing has been ridiculous.
It's literally when I go on Instagram or like go on my reels, I get a ton of Chainsaw Man,
Yeah.
like any like the cone with like Aki and like oh
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's all
yeah.
that stuff. It's like you just get more and more and more like Chainsaw Man like references and
Yeah.
things popping up constantly and like you try not to like there's times where I'm like on reels and I'm like I don't want to like get spoiled like of the show because some people can like they just post things ahead of time and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah.
Um
Online, it's like it's every Tuesday because it comes out every Tuesday. Like it
yeah.
comes out at 12 on Tuesday. By one, there's 80 people have made edits. Like there's like a million references. I'm like, how did you do this so fast? The episode isn't even done airing. You have an edit of the first 10 minutes.
It's crazy, man. It's like people are like on top of it. Like they're like
Yeah.
it's always like a spoiler if you go online,
Yeah.
you're like, oh boy, all right, I gotta pay attention to this. And then
Yeah.
this got get to the last show, Mob Psych 100 season 3 just ended
Yeah.
recently.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts on this one?
Again, I haven't seen it, but I've seen pretty much the first season, and it's like really good. I just haven't seen the other seasons because like time.
Yeah,
But I've seen so many memes where it's like this meme originates from the Game of Thrones meme where it's like a super it's like describe this this is gonna make no sense. I don't know why I'm using this example, but we're gonna stick to it. Um it's like a show and it's split into 5 season blocks and there's a drawing of the horse and like the first 3 seasons are super detailed and then the last 2 seasons are like a stick figure and it's
yeah,
like what show is this and everyone's like Game of Thrones because the ending sucks. But and so someone did that, but it's just Mob Psycho, but it's a beautifully drawn horse all the way through all 3 seasons. And I think that rings true because a lot of my friends who I've talked to have watched it has said it's first of all been the most underrated show this season because not a lot of people have talked about it, even though season 3 has been from what I've heard, amazing. And from what I've seen in season 1, it's unreal. So yeah, definitely have to check it out and keep watching. But yeah, I've heard it's like peak 10 out of 10.
yeah. I'm on episode 8 now, or I just finished episode 8, and
Mhm.
it's very very well done. I've been a big fan of the show. I can't like it's the from the first season on, there's been episodes where it just has made me laugh out loud. Like Reagan,
Yeah.
I think makes me just crack me up. But like this third season has been really, really good. Some
Mhm.
sad scenes, but like also like really phenomenally like done and you get just some great stuff too as well that make you laugh. So it's a good
Yeah,
combination of things.
I've heard there's some fight scenes like animation in the 3rd season that are ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a
Like
really, really good one.
I've heard there's some craziness in in the most recent season.
Yes, yes. There's some really fantastic fight scenes, great animation, like
Mhm.
yeah, like some really cool stuff. So they did a great job of it. I can't wait to actually finish it. I just like now, like speaking again, like going on Instagram, keep seeing like people posting about Mob Psych too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
still ruin it for me. Like I just want to get through it. But anyways,
Yeah.
and then we got a couple more topics to cover and then we'll end the show. But I want to know, do you have like a favorite anime of the 90s, early 2000s that you enjoyed or anything that you've hopped back in time and watched?
Well, those are two different questions because
Yeah.
90s and early 2000s are different answers.
Yeah. Oh, I was trying to give you like
Um,
giving your burp knee to hold you.
if we're talking 90s,
Yeah.
you're putting me on the spot. Favorite anime of the 90s? Um, it's probably Ava or Neon Genesis Evangelion
Yeah.
because that I class this is gonna be super dramatic, but I classify my life as pre-Ava and post-Ava because
Yep.
after Ava, everything's different. There's like you that show that show's one of the only shows that has actually changed me as a person.
Really?
Like the way I describe Ava is a lot of people don't it's Ava's like the perfect show where it puts up this ruse of like, oh, this is like a mecha anime where we're gonna see big robots fighting. It's gonna be sick, and then you pull back the curtain and it's like a deep character study on the human condition. This is really really pretentious. Sorry guys. It's a deep character study on the human condition and like loneliness and helplessness. I'm being a really really conceited animator right now, but I like the shows that I like, and I'm going to talk about them.
No, yeah, fine.
Um,
Just
um, That Ava, obviously Cowboy Bebop. The way I describe Cowboy Bebop and the reason I love it so much is just, again, this is going to sound really, really like just cheesy, but the word vibes. Like, I think the director of Cowboy Bebop encapsulates a feeling in his shows so well. And then he did like Cowboy Bebop, obviously, Samurai Champloo, and Space Dandy. And in all of those shows, he encapsulates the feeling of the overall tone of the show and what he's trying to convey in one feeling in a season so well. And also, like, each show that he does is based off a different type of music. Obviously,
Yeah.
Bebop's bebop, Samurai Champloo is hip hop, and then Space Dandy, I think, is disco. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop also. Oh, dude, there's too many. Oh, uh, um, okay, I'm gonna just speed run a bunch that
Go
everyone
ahead.
should watch. Go back and watch from the '90s because there's too many. Obviously, Ava. Everyone go watch Ava. Go watch Cowboy Bebop. Go watch Ghost in the Shell. So it's a movie. It's an hour and a half. Unreal movie. Go watch Akira. Great movie. So many references in pop culture.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're too confused after watching the movie, read the manga, or just don't watch the movie and read the manga. But the movie has great animation. Serial Experiments Lane. Again, life pre-Lane, post-Lane. That show changes you as a person. And then, which is what you wanted to talk about earlier, also Trigun, which is getting a reboot this year. So maybe just wait for the reboot. But the OG is really good also.
Yeah, Trigun is fantastic. I love Cowboy Bebop, another fantastic show. Ava, obviously, a classic, and then Yu Yu Hakusho, man, that's another one.
Oh, dude, I gave so many pretentious picks. I didn't pick any shonen. I gave like all the anime elitist picks. I'm going back. Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball,
Yeah.
Inuyasha. Let me change my picks so people don't think I'm just a nerd. What are other shonens from the 90s? I'm blanking, but don't think I'm a conceited animator.
I love it. And you brought up Trigun. Trigun's obviously getting a reboot. What do you think of like the new design and everything like that's coming up with Trigun?
I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on Trigun. Because like, yeah, it's cool that they're doing something new, but like a lot of the appeal for me, like watching the old Trigun was like, he just looked so sick.
Yeah.
He was like such just like a gritty, like badass character.
Yeah.
Especially like tied in with that intro with like the crazy guitar riff. But and now he looks kind of like what's the word to describe this? Like super bubbly and like very, very childlike anime. But like the art style is cool. I'm not knocking the director. I think if it's done well, then I think like I won't care, but I think I'll always like the OG.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, same here. Yeah, I'll be interested to check out, see what they do with it. But it's tough sometimes when they like do that and you're like, oh, I don't know. I'll miss the vash of the 90s like that.
Well, I don't think they could redo it the same way, but I just think like they gave him a whole redesign.
Yeah, like they changed like his hair, like and everything.
Yeah. I think it'll be fine, but who knows?
Yeah. All right.
Oh, dude, I'm blanking on so many 90s animes, but yeah, we can move on.
we can go. We could do another podcast just focus on 90s animes, and we could just stick to like show.
We'll come back to this, and I'll come prepared.
Yeah. And then so I want to just end on this one. You're a big fan. I want to know show recommendations. Maybe someone that's a big anime fan. What would you give them to watch? Or even not even a big anime fan, but like think that would catch your eye.
Okay, here. This I'll give you two answers. If you're just getting into anime and want like a good way to jump in, watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood or Demon Slayer or any shonen. So like don't watch the old shonens because they're paced horribly, like the old Dragon Balls, like looking back, like it's tough to get through, even though the story is good.
Yeah.
But watch like a new shonen like Demon Slayer or stuff like that. Or honestly, the barrier for entry for Chainsaw Man is pretty high, but I mean, like once you're in, it's good. So for that, but like for me, like what I would recommend if you're just like an overall anime fan to watch now, if you haven't caught up on Vinland Saga for season 2, you are making the gravest mistake of your life. I could talk about this for hours, but yeah, Vinland Saga, unreal. Absolutely love that show. I'm trying to pull up my list, but I can't find it. Um, I'll just yeah, okay, here I got it. I'll just scroll through and give like a 2 second
Yeah.
synopsis on. Oh, I am blanking completely 100%. My number one show. If you haven't seen Code Geass, you are living in a farce. Your life is a ruse. There's drop everything you're doing and watch Code Geass. That show is yeah, that show's peak. That show's 10 out of 10. Lelouch, greatest MC, best ending in all of anime ever. No one can argue with me. I don't care. Yeah, those are like my few picks. And then we could do another podcast on like deep cuts that I could bring up.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We will definitely have to do another one. I think one of my show recommendations, if you really want to get into it, I think kind of brought up maybe Cowboy Bebop. I think that's just like a good, fantastic show to start out with. You know, as you mentioned, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, Jujutsu Kaisen would be a good one to kind of get into as well too.
That's also good. That's also a good beginner anime.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think one show that I'd give a recommendation for anime watchers that haven't seen it yet is Erased. It's probably one of my favorite like animes that I really enjoyed. That it's such like a good mystery. It's so good. What? Don't like it?
I hated Erased.
Did you really? I don't know. I thought it was like just such a fantastic show for some reason.
So I came up. Well, it's because I watched Erased at the wrong time. So I watched Erased literally. I started Erased 2 days after I finished Steins Gate, which is like also like a time travel show.
Yeah.
But Steins Gate is just like so. I watched 3 time travel shows back to back to back. Erased being the second worst. Tokyo Revengers being the worst. That show's a hot pile of garbage. I don't care what anyone tells me. I know there's a huge fan base. I don't care. Tokyo Revengers is bad.
No, I couldn't get into
but
it.
I came off of watching Steins Gate, which is just like the one of like in my top 5. Like I absolutely love that show. And I just thought Erased was kind of corny and goofy. But I will not, I'm not that big of an Erased hater that I will hate on other people for liking it, because I know I am objectively wrong, because I know it's a very good show and I know a lot of people like it. I think I just watched it at the wrong time. I think if I watched it again in like a year, then I would like it.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was good. Also, another one is obviously I just have to give out my favorite is Samurai Champloo. I think if anyone watch Cowboy Bebop, you have to watch Samurai Champloo. The story of it's so good. There's a couple weird episodes, but it's also just fantastic.
Dude, I have a Nujabes record in the mail coming because I love that show so much.
You got that record?
So Nujabes did all the music for Samurai Champloo. So I got it like I got one of his albums coming.
Did you really? Oh my god!
I love his music so much because the music in that show is so good.
Oh, it's
so good.
It's fantastic, man. I love it. It's one of my all-time favorite animes, and definitely highly suggest people watching it. But Daniel, this has been awesome, man. You dropped a lot of knowledge. Great time speaking with you, man. And I can't wait to do another one of these.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm down to come back. I mean, any chance that I get to just geek out for an hour and just spill my brains out is a fun time for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, we'll have to do one of these, like, a couple times a month or once a month, and just kind of geek out and talk about like things and news and what we have going on with Anime Village, but also what's going on in the anime world, and to just talk about shows. We could just do reactions and stuff too. I think it would be fun.
Yeah, it's tons of fun. I mean, yeah, obviously, follow the Instagram, follow the TikTok, check out the NFT project, read the manga.